Welcome to the RIMP Code video series. This video will focus on important considerations when planning explicit interventions in writing transcription. Writing transcription includes the foundational skills necessary to transfer words from spoken language into written language. Transcription includes the skills of handwriting, spelling, and keyboarding. It is important that students have these skills automatized and use them effortlessly so they have more room in their brains to concentrate on writing compositions. An intervention focus for writing transcription is appropriate for students with generally sufficient oral vocabulary and language, meaning they can talk at length about a subject or topic of interest, but have difficulty getting the thoughts down onto paper. These students may also have generally sufficient oral reading and comprehension, meaning when asked to read a grade level passage, they can read the passage accurately and automatically and ask and answer questions that are relevant to the text. However, the student has difficulty with spelling or handwriting, which then becomes a barrier to written expression. Therefore, students who fit this reading profile must be taught the foundational skills necessary for skilled written expression. They must be taught handwriting skills like how to hold a pencil correctly and form letters fluently and efficiently. Students also need to be taught spelling conventions and then given many opportunities to practice spelling the words. And it's important to teach students keyboarding and then support them as they build fluency in keyboarding skills as they get older. I'm going to begin by discussing important considerations for teaching and intervening with handwriting. Teaching handwriting is important for writing and reading development. Handwriting instruction and practice should occur daily in the early elementary years. Students in need of intervention should be taught how to hold a pencil to reduce hand and arm fatigue. Use explicit routines to teach the formation of letters, and then provide ample opportunities for students to practice writing the letters. It's important to give students specific feedback about how to improve legibility with letter formation, spacing, alignment of letters on the page, letter size, and spacing between words. For additional guidance and information about handwriting, please refer to the Guidance and Supplemental Materials handwriting document posted on the department's webpage. Let's discuss important considerations for teaching and intervening with spelling. Students who may show proficiency in reading may not have those same abilities with spelling. Spelling is a much more difficult skill due to the many layers of the English language. Spelling, like reading, must be explicitly taught, and then the student must have many opportunities to practice. Please keep in mind there are many facets to consider to teach and support students in spelling. It is important to gauge where a student is in a scope and sequence of spelling by administering a spelling inventory. This inventory is an important step to determine where the student is in their progression of spelling development. This inventory helps the teacher understand if the student needs support in phoneme-grapheme correspondences, more complex orthographic patterns and generalizations, or if the student needs additional instruction and support in the morphological elements of English spelling. We'll break each of these down in the next few slides. Here is an example of a spelling inventory. In the left column, you see a list of target words. Notice these words go from simple CVC words to more complex words. The teacher dictates these words and uses them in a sentence. The students then write each word. It sounds like a spelling test, but it's different than a spelling test in several ways. Most importantly, it's a diagnostic. Words in a spelling inventory are chosen to uncover what types of errors students make the most. In the second column, you see how the students spelled each word. Here's where the teacher should carefully analyze the spellings. By analyzing your students' answers, we gain insight into their phonological awareness, their orthographic knowledge, and even their fine motor skills. There's no studying for a spelling inventory. The goal isn't to get 100% or spell words correctly from memory. The goal is to get a glimpse into the processing happening inside the student's brain. After each word is analyzed, the teacher then decides what type of error the student made. The third column shows the type of errors. These can be broken down into 3 general categories: phonological errors, orthographic errors, and morphological errors. The type of error will reveal the type of instruction the student needs. Let's look closer at these 3 types of errors and what to do in an intervention. Phonological errors are errors related to the sounds in words. This could be a failure to represent a particular sound or representing a sound incorrectly. Students with many phonological errors need more work in phonemic awareness, such as segmenting, blending, and manipulating phonemes. They need practice differentiating similar phonemes and may benefit from specific instruction about voiced and unvoiced pairs and mouth position in the formation of sounds. Many children struggle with short vowel sounds and need intensive vowel review. Students will also need instruction and many opportunities to practice how the sounds connect to the print or grapheme. From our spelling inventory, we see the student misspelled the word sled as said. The spelling intervention should focus on spelling words with initial blends. Let's watch a short video of what the instruction might look and sound like. I'm noticing you are spelling most CVC words correctly, but you're missing words that contain initial blends. So we're going to practice spelling and reading words with initial blends. Let's try one together. The word I want you to spell is the word sled. After the snowstorm, I rode the sled down the hill. Say sled. Good. Now watch me tap the sounds in sled. S, U, E, D. Now it's your turn. I want you to say and tap the sounds in the word sled. S, U, E, D. Nice job saying all the sounds in sled and tapping those sounds. Now, I'm going to say the sounds, and I'm also going to map each of the sounds. So watch me first. Sled. S, U, E, D. Did you watch how I tapped all the sounds in sled? S, U, E, D. Okay, now you try. You map all the sounds in sled. Say the word first. Sled. Good. Now map each of those sounds. S, O, E, D. Nice job getting all the sounds in the word sled, including that blend. S, O, E, D. Now, watch while I write the grapheme for each sound. I'm going to touch the sound, say the sound, and then I'm going to write the grapheme. S, S, O, L, E, D, D. Now I'm going to write the word. S, L, E, D, sled, sled. Now it's your turn. You are going to graph all the sounds in the word S, O, E, D. You try. Ready? First sound, S. Letter, oops, I'm sorry. First sound, S. Letter, S. O, L, E, D, D. Now write that word again. Read it. Sled. One more time. Sled. Errors with patterns and generalizations refer to the orthographic features and are often a bit more sophisticated errors. In these errors, students may have used letters that can make a particular sound, but not the correct spelling for that situation. Students will need many opportunities with a pattern so the word becomes mapped and stored in the brain. Although dream could be phonetically spelled another way, only one way is accurate. Students who can both read and spell variant vowel patterns have stronger sight word representations in their word form area in the brain. Reading, like recognizing the word dream, is easier than producing its spelling. Solidly mapping dream for spelling supports both writing and reading automaticity. Use the same process for spelling that we used in the phoneme-grapheme correspondences to practice spelling words with these patterns. Morphological errors may be trickier to spot. Errors may be with derivational or inflective suffixes, chameleon prefixes, or final stable syllables. In this example, the student needs instruction and practice to internalize the use of the suffix ed and its three sounds, d, id, t. Let's wrap up this video by talking about the role of keyboarding in skilled written expression. Research suggests handwriting has an advantage over keyboarding for students in grades 2 through 6. This is based on the amount written, rate of the written words, and number of ideas generated in a sample. In the research literature, keyboarding did not emerge as an advantage until around grade 7 or 8. Research from Virginia Berninger suggests that perhaps proficient keyboarding requires a part of the brain that's just not fully developed until the adolescent years. Research still supports teaching handwriting across grade levels, but the introduction of keyboarding can begin earlier and the skill should change over time. The goal is to develop hybrid writers. The chart shows the progression of handwriting and keyboarding skills from kindergarten through grade 12. Notice in the early years there is a strong emphasis on handwriting. Keyboarding is introduced gradually. When students transition to 5th grade, they tend to be ready for more formal keyboarding instruction. But notice that handwriting is still used for some initial composing processes. You can pause the recording to take a closer look at the progression of teaching keyboarding. Finally, all interventions should have 3 main characteristics. They should be systematic and cumulative, which means the lessons should follow a scope and sequence, build on each other, and have defined routines. We often think of explicit instruction as gradual release, or I do, we do, you do. But it's so much more than that. It's how we include the content of the lesson, the design and the delivery of the instruction, and the type and amount of practice needed to master the skills. And finally, diagnostic teaching. Which students need support? What support do they need? We can use diagnostic assessments or intervention program assessments to place students in the correct skill in the scope and sequence. Then progress monitoring tells us if the student is making accelerated progress towards meeting goals. As you plan explicit interventions in writing transcription, remember Ohio has an approved list of evidence-based reading intervention programs. The routines described in this video may already be embedded within an approved program that specifically supports handwriting, spelling, and keyboarding. And for information about other routines that are mentioned in this video, please refer to the IES Practice Guide, Teaching Elementary School Students to be Effective Writers. And finally, the Literacy Academy On Demand course on writing transcription is where you can learn how to explain the key processes associated with transcription and analyze your current practices to identify areas to improve transcription instruction.